Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons. 2. This is so innocently stupid and it's my favorite. Only if it was a teacher, not a professor. This is actually concerning. My best friend asked me this when I moved to Europe. She asked if I could see the moon there, or if it only existed for the USA. When I moved from Europe to the US, I was asked, do you guys have television? This was in 2005. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. I mean, we're only on the 45th. So he could be right one day. Ben didn't die. He just jumped forward in time, then back again to get himself on the bill early. She thought I was trying to trick her into believing that Adolf Hitler was real. But, like, were you? Oh hell yeah. I not only tried but also succeeded in the end. But I couldn't trick her into believing the Holocaust. She said there was no way. Darn it. Someone in my work expressed shock once at my postcard of Niagara Falls because she didn't believe it was a real place. I thought that was just for films. I always thought it was a made-up place. You know, like the Grand Canyon. I know a guy who thinks the special tea he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. What's this special tea? I think might have smoked one pack too many. Stupidity. I went to school with a girl that legitimately thought 9/11 was done by German Nazis. Pretty sure that was 9/11. Wow. I have nothing to say about that. Where did she get that idea from? No idea. She was one of the rich pretty types that didn't listen worth a damn. I'm not even sure she could spell her full name. For a while I thought maybe she was just one of those girls who acts stupid for attention, but after seeing some of her papers and hearing her thoughts on who did 9/11 I was certain she was actually stupid. I know a guy who vapped mercury on a dare. Out of everything in this thread, this one's the most fricked up. Did you go to the funeral? You knew a guy. We hired a girl a couple years ago. I told her where the manager's office was her first day. Second day, she asked me where the manager's office was. So I walked her to the door. Third day, she asks me where it is again. Our manager chewed out the girl who trained our new recruit for not teaching the job properly. The trainer pulled out her phone and showed the manager a picture of the girl wearing the uniform backwards and said, look at this. This is untrainable. New girl got fired about 3 weeks later for stealing the product because she thought she got it for free because she was an employee. This reminds me of a girl I like to remember as Mooghan. She would just glaze over and leave her body when you delivered the most basic instructions. It was not a hard job. She hugged me when I fired her 2 weeks later. Man, I went to school with a girl like that. Lights were on but nobody was home. I thought people exaggerated just how dumb she could be. Then one day she walks into the room I'm working in. We are the only people in there. I'm working on rebuilding an arcade cabinet. She asks what I'm working on. I explain it. She seems like she understands. And then says, so like for in a pool, right? I didn't quite hear her, I thought. So I said, yeah. They probably have some in a pool hall. But this one's going in my basement. She says, no like. It's for in a pool, right? A swimming pool? Yeah, like underwater. No, not usually. She then pressed all the button. Made beep boop sounds. Then wandered back out. Pretty sure she now lives in a penthouse apartment in another country. Paid for by her dad. OMG, we had one of those. Her eyes would go black like a demon when you told her any type of instruction. And then right before you were done with your sentence, she'd interrupt to finish your sentence incorrectly. So when you polish the glasses, make sure to store them in the cooler. Got it. No. You put them in the glass rack. Right. That's what I said. The urge to strangle has never been so real. Had a guy like that. After showing him something for the third time that week, I told home to write it down in a cheat sheet format. Told him to do the same thing for every problem he came across. Yes. It slowed down his work more, but at least he could be left unsupervised for small periods of time. I would go over his notes, help him fill in details and format it so it would look official. Then file it so other people could see, use them. He still came up to me and asked me how to fix the same problems he had felt with in the past. I would tell him he has already felt with that problem before and to check his notes. I caught up with a mutual coworker a few years back. He is still as dumb as dog shiz, but he can cack up documentation like there is no tomorrow. A few times I was looking at internal documents and saw his name as an author. That's kind of heartwarming. I imagine he has some memory problem and you've shown him how to get around it and continue to be employed. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's _ a modest proposal _ but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. Well, we could say that, but would it be true? Eating children is bad and wrong. In fact, there should be a new word for it, like bad wrong, or badong. Yes, eating children is badong. What if she was also super satirical and sarcastic but you misinterpreted it? I used to work with the nicest person I've ever met. But he was also the dumbest. Even though he had been there over a year, he couldn't do anything beside washing dishes without someone watching over him. He just could not figure out how to do anything on his own. Someone, usually me, would have to watch over every little thing he did to make sure he was doing it right. It would have been frustrating if he wasn't the nicest damn person on earth. He was always so happy to see you and did everything with a smile on his face. Luckily he could wash dishes like a fucking beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say he could wash dishes faster and cleaner than anyone I have ever met. That's the reason he would do other stuff, is because he washed dishes so damn fast we'd have to find other stuff for him to do. His wife was normal and all his kids were doctors or engineers. They were all crazy smart. What was kind of sad is that he knew he wasn't the smartest. But he was so damn nice. The fact he knew he wasn't the smartest actually shows he's pretty intelligent in at least that specific way. And humble. Most dumb people have no idea they're dumb. This is probably the only person in the whole thread who I actually look up to. Kind of makes me wonder if he used to be actually smart and then suffered a TBI. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. All that pre-cooked food in the supermarket, it's all polio. I was working in a French company. We were working with a dev team in Vietnam on some IT project. The project manager they report to in HQ is French. They didn't like him and he knew it. The Vietnamese team did some great job. He wanted to find the correct words to congratulate them, hoping to smoothen the future relationship. He sent that incredible "thank you" email. And, when we see the quality of your work, we can only realize how sad it is that we lost you guys as a colony. And, the French expats in the Vietnam office told me they were hiding in shame for a full week. Wow, that's like congratulating a black guy and saying what a shame that you can't buy him anymore. Oh God, I need a spatula to peel my eyebrows from the ceiling. A girl in an app US history class laughed at me when I was talking about driving to Alaska from Oregon. She insisted Alaska was an island because of how it is separated out on maps like this. I don't know if she was the dumbest person I met overall. But it was certainly the dumbest thing someone insisted they were right about. Yeah, that big island with that really straight edge on the east side. That is the border with the ice wall. Flat Earth theory confirmed? I don't know how it can be cold when it's down there. Right by Hawaii. Hawaii is always warm. Maybe it's the mountains. Some girl at my school thought the same thing and we asked her why Hawaii was hot and Alaska was cold if they were right next to each other. No shiz. She said that it was because the beaches at Hawaii make it hot. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Bold move asking her how much she weighs. Pure frustration. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Well, yeah, protons, neutrons, and electrons. You can build a lot of wacky shiz with that, though. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons apparently. My sister-in-law is an anti-vaxxer and believes her kid's cerebral palsy was caused by vaccines despite the kid being born with 1/4 of her brain physically missing. That girl is lucky. She could have been born missing her whole brain like her mother. Absolute savage. I love it. This makes me so mad. Like, if you don't believe in vaccinations, okay. But don't let your kids suffer because you're stupid. A guy at a job site said this to me in all seriousness. I am quoting. And If Hitler had put all the Jews on the Titanic, he coulda saved himself a lot of trouble. And I felt like I had a stroke. Also, saved himself a lot of trouble is a scary mundane way to describe genocide. Right? Makes it sound like the worst part about genocide is the effort it takes. Well, it makes sense. If the Titanic had existed in the same time and place, and it could hold 6 million people. He had just purchased a new, high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says, "It's not loaded." Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop. Shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. Oh, so it's a girl mouth. Now that's a reference. I live in southern Spain. I once met a girl from the US. Who was here on some kind of exchange program. When I asked her how did she like Spain so far, she said, "I'm loving it, I just don't know why the plane took so long to get here. I mean, we are just a bit below Mexico. I don't know why the flight was so long." Then I told her that we were in Europe, and she didn't believe me. Her reply was, "Europe? It can't be, everyone speaks Spanish, so we must be somewhere near Mexico for sure." She was in uni, I still don't know how or why. Lol, how the frick do you join an international exchange program without even knowing where you're going on the fucking map? Some people glide through life with a guardian angel preventing them from walking into traffic or some shiz. Totally. I remember another time when in a convo she said, "It was a blessing in the skies." I then told her, "Don't you mean a blessing in disguise?" She got visibly upset and told me that she was pretty sure that the saying was, "a blessing in the skies," and that since English was her mother tongue she must knew better. Sigh. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. How did she get to high school without someone setting her straight? Well, you see, she got there in half the time.